Okay, I was asked a question the other day about the Coriolis effect, and specifically, they were asking about what we see in the weather patterns with the way they turn above the equator and they turn the opposite way below the equator. And the mainstream storyline is that it's the Earth is spinning so fast that it's causing it to spin funny ways. Well, I don't agree with that at all. I did a video a couple of years ago on the Coriolis question, but I didn't address specifically that question. I dealt with the water going down the drain. Okay, so uh, real quick, I just want to go over this. What I believe is it's the sun that is going through the equator, and the sun is pushing back, and I don't have a good illustration here for you, but it's pushing back. It's going to be hotter on the back side than it is on the front side. So essentially, the sun pushes through cold air and it pushes outwardly behind it, and causes it causes the winds or the clouds to spin one way in one direction and another way in the other direction just like the wake vortex of an airplane. When an airplane goes through the air, it creates a wake vortex. Perhaps you've seen the 9/11 video, the Great American Psy Opera. And yes, I'm a no planers. I don't believe there are any planes that hit 9/11. And the reason I don't believe there are any planes, it's just like you say, well, there was airplanes hit, but uh, no airplane hit Building 7. Building 7 fell on its own, but Buildings 1 and 2, they were hit by planes. So you say, well, there was no plane at the Pentagon, or there was no plane in Shanksville. But now you're going to say there was planes, Towers 1 and 2. You could say, well, uh, Building 7 was a controlled demolition. But you're going to say Buildings 1 and 2 weren't? Where do you draw the line? As saying, well, this is true and this isn't true. First of all, you got to prove that a plane did hit. And that um, the thing that really bothers me the most is the Pinocchio's nose. If you've seen this, you know what I'm talking about. It's Pinocchio's nose, and it's the cutout cartoon Wile E. Coyote cartoon cutout. It's those two things. Now, the Pinocchio's nose, I believe, is not true, and the cutout, I believe, is true. But I believe the cutout was a designed cutout. Okay, now I just want to get weird for a little bit, and I just want you to take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm just going to throw an idea out there, and if you have any thoughts to go along with it, I'd like to hear them. Okay, uh, from what I understand, I don't watch the news, but from what I understand, the president has come out and gave a warning to Iran, which is interesting. Like I've said in my previous videos, that Satan always mimics God. And what's curious, in my opinion, is that the Bible says, "Come out of her, my people." And that's God clearly talking about his people that are within the Catholic Church. He's saying, "Come out of her." So I don't think that Satan is going to mimic this over in the Middle East. I think it's going to be New York City. And I remember when I was about 9 years old, there was the world was much different, and there was a lot of talk or scare tactics going on that the Russians might bomb us and they might send missiles over. And I remember having a dream of seeing missiles flying over my head. Well, this was in Newton, Iowa, and nobody, who in the world's going to bomb Iowa? It'd be a complete waste. Got nothing to gain. But New York City, now that would be something, wouldn't it? And so I just wonder if maybe if they're really wanting to push this war against Iran, they're going to have to come up with something big, just like they did to go to war against Iraq and Afghanistan and wherever else. They had to create 9/11. Well, Iran's bigger, so they might have to come up with something even bigger, which means there might be something on the way real soon. I'm just speculating. I'm not making any sort of prediction, but you look back at George Bush's time, it was early in his tenure that 9/11 happened. Well, we got a new president now, so something might happen soon. And the thing is, I just wonder if it's going to be related to missiles, because from what I understand, that Iran's building up missile capabilities, and the United States government wants to put a stop to it. And there's no way they're justified to go into war against Iran at this point. But what if Iran were to send missiles over to New York? And somebody's going to say it's biblical or whatever. And I just wonder if it's if there's going to be some sort of warning to get out of New York, and they just bomb the crap out of it. I just wonder. I could see it happening. And there's other people speculating that New York City is Mystery Babylon. I don't believe that at all. But that at the same time doesn't mean that maybe New York will get bombed, because if you remember the Nostradamus show on HBO back in 1980 or whenever it was Nostradamus, they say, predicts that Iran's gonna send nuclear weapons onto New York or whatever, some silly stuff. But I don't believe there are nuclear weapons. Now, there are missiles that can blow the crap out of a lot of stuff, and you have enough missiles. Well, what's the difference, really? A lot of damage can be done. Now, I'm just getting crazy. I'm just throwing ideas out there. I just wondered if anybody might have some ideas pertaining to any sort of thing relating to that. Anyways, that's it. Thanks.